Hello, myself Sri Rajam, Assistant Professor, Department of Computer Science, Sri Appa College, Chengaluru. I'm here before you to discuss about introduction to Python language. Our discussion is starting with what is Python. The Python is general purpose, high level interpreted, object oriented programming language with dynamic semantics created by Guido van Rossum. So, what is general purpose? A language is designed to be used for writing software in various application domains without being restricted to a particular domain. And about the high level language, a programming language that uses natural language elements and automates significant areas computing such as memory allocations. Why we call the Python as an interpreted language? Because your Python script is saved and executed in the same format in which you created the script, as opposed to compile languages where the code is first translated into a set of machine specific instructions then saved as an executable file. And also it is dynamically typed language. Being dynamically typed means that the Python parser automatically infers or identifies the type of variable in the basis of what kind of data you have assigned to be a variable. Next question comes to our mind is why we choose Python. And it is easy. That means when we say word easy, we mean it in different contexts. First one, it is easy to code. Python is very easy to code compared to other programming language like Java and C++. It is easier to code in Python. Anyone can learn Python syntax in just a few hours. Thus, can be called as programmer friendly. Next is it is easy to read. Being a high-level language, Python code is quite like English. Looking at, you can tell what the code is supposed to do. Also, since it is dynamically typed, it mandates indentations, and this aids readability. So we can say that it is easy to understand and learn. The next point is free and open source language. Why we call this as a free and open source language? Firstly, the Python is freely available. You can download it from the Python website. Secondly, it is open source. This means that its source code is available to public. You can download it and change it, use it and distribute it. Next point is Python has fewer code of lines and less time. The Python usually involves less code, which in turn results in less time to write the code. And also it's used by the huge community, which means that in case of you get stuck, there will be many fellow developers you can reach out for help. Now we discover about what is Python and why we choose Python for a programming language. Come to the point of the next point. What are the features of Python? And it is object-oriented language, which means that a programming language that can model the real world is said to be object-oriented. It focuses on objects and combines data and functions. Contrarily, a procedure-oriented language revolves around functions which are coded that can be reused. And also the Python supports both procedure oriented and object oriented programming, which is one of the key Python features. This also supports multiple inheritance unlike Java. A class is a blueprint for such an object. It is an abstract data type and holds no values. The next feature is it's an expressive. First, let's learn about the expression. Suppose we have two languages A and B, and all programs that can be made in A can be made in B using local transformations. However, there are some programs that can be made in B but not in A using local transformations. Then B is said to be more expressive than A. The Python provides us with a myriad of constructs that help us focus on the solutions rather than on the syntax. This is one of the outstanding Python features that tell you why you should learn Python. And next important feature is cross-platform or portable. Let's assume that you have written a Python code for your Windows machines. Now, if you want to run it on a Mac or a Linux, you don't need to make changes to it for the same. In other words, you can take one code and run it on any machine. There is no need to write different code for the different machines. Next main point is rich libraries. The Python cloud nodes with a large library that you can use, so you don't have to write your own code for the everything single thing. There are libraries for regular expressions, documentation generations, unit testings, web browsers, threading, databases, CGA, email, image manipulations, and lot of other functionality. And also it is simple to use and it is integrable to other languages if needed. You can write some of your Python code in other languages like C++. And this makes Python it's an extensible language, meaning that it can be extended to other languages. And also the syntax of Python is an elegant one. So come to the point of applications of Python, and it can be applied in web applications, and create web applications of different levels of complexity using Python. And next important application is data analysis. Python is a leading language choice for data analysis due to its popular libraries including NumPy and Pandas and SciPy. And also it's widely used in the case of machine language or machine learning. And Python can be used to implement the predictive analysis by making use of its machine learning library called scikit-learn, TensorFlow, and many more. And it's widely used in the case of game development. The Python is used for game development as well as using a module named Pygame, and mainly used for automation. The Python can also be used automate repetitive stuff such as sending emails, opening up of browsers and Facebook notifications, and many more. Hello. In this lecture, we will begin to program. Program is just a set of instructions. We say programs are run or executed. Program, such as your operating system, run on hardware like cell phone or your laptop or tablet. But programs can also be run by other programs. This is what happens when you play a game in web browser. We refer to this lecture as Python as a calculator because we are going to focus on mathematical expressions. Here I am using Linux. Let's take the terminal in Linux after installing Python and type Python 3 because I am using the Python 3 versions. You can see the versions of Python 3.82 is the default one which installed in my machine. And this symbol, the three arrow symbol, is called as prompt. And next to the prompt, we will type the Python instructions, and this is one of the method which we are following to execute the set of instructions by Python. And some other methods are also available. We can write a program file with an extension called py, and also you can use a Jupyter notebook for the further purpose. Now let me start with the terminal and discuss about the calculator. Later we will switch to the Jupyter notebook. Let's type the instructions. And we are going to add the two integers 2 plus 3, and when we press enter, definitely it shows the answer. Let's look at another expression. 6 minus, I choose, I'm going to subtract 2 from 6. So 6 minus 2 gives answer is 4, and this expression is evaluated only after I am pressing enter. And come to the point of 7 times 3, 3, and when we press enter it must be evaluated. Definitely we got the answer as 21. So far we have seen 3 operations. One is addition, next one is subtraction, and multiplications. Another operation is exponentiation, and we read this expression as 2 to the power of 5. When I am pressing enter, definitely I got the answer as 32. Next, let's take 4 divided by 2. Definitely we got the answer as 2.0. When Python evaluates its expression, the result that we get looks a little bit different from what we have seen so far. The expression evaluates to get us 2.0 as opposed to just 2. What we are seeing here is that Python has multiple types, and 2 of its numeric types are type int, it mainly stands for numeric, and next one is float, which stands for the floating point number. This division operation gives us a floating point results. Let's explore a few more examples of divisions. Let's already I am pointed out here, which is that 5 divided by 2, and definitely we got the answer as 2.5. Now let's we divide by 2 divided by 3, and the answer is 0.6666. The 6 is as repeating. And that is what it gives. Although instead of an infinite number of 6, we are limited by a number of significant digits available. So Python has a limited amount of memory to work with, and the number that we get the result of divide by 2 by 3 is an approximation to a real numbers. Another example, it is 5 divided by 3, and definitely we got the answer as 1.6666, and it is ended with the 7. The last digit is actually 7. Similarly, if you are going to divide 7 by 3, definitely we got the answer as 2.3333, and the last digit is 5. 7 divided by 3 is a floating point division, and since the floating point numbers are approximations to real numbers, there is some imprecision, and that's why we are seeing here. And Python has another type of division called an integer divisions. We will divide 4 divided by 2, and this is an integer division instead of normal divisions. When we press enter, definitely we got the answer as 2 instead of 2.0, and it's already we've seen that 4 divided by 2 is 2.0, and this is it's a floating point representations. Why we are using as an integer type divisions, definitely we got the answer as 2. Come to the point of 2 integer division 3, definitely we got the answer as 0. So let's consider 5 divided integer division divided by 3 using an integer division, and again the result is a whole number. Definitely we got the answer is 1. So we could rewrite the 5 over 3 as 1 and 2/3, and we are getting in that is 1. dividing 7 by 3, again it's 2, again it's a whole number. So this would be rewritten as 2 by 2 and a third. So we are only getting the part of the result when we do like this, and part of the result that the divisions. The other part we can get using in the different operator called the remainder operator, or we call this as an mod operator. We use the percentage sign to send these two significantly these operations. So 4 mod 2. So I'm going to get the 4 mod go for mod 2. Definitely I got the answer as 0. There is no remainder for the division of 4 divided by 2. When we divide 2 by mod, sorry, 2 mod 3, definitely we got the answer as 2. And when we divide 5 by 3, or the 5 mod 3, definitely we got the answer as, again it's a remainder as 2. Now that we have worked with these operations separately, let's combine them into one expressions. We will add 3 to 4 and subtract 5, and when the press answer is 2, apply, the operations are performed from left to right. And the 3 is added with the 4, definitely we got the answer as 3 plus 4 is 7, and then later 7 minus 5 is 2. Next, let's add 4 to 5 and multiply by 3, definitely we got the answer as 19. That means it is starting with 5 into 3, we got the answer as 15, and later it is added with 4, definitely we got the answer as 90. In this case, the order of operations dictates that the multiplication should be applied first. Multiplication should be applied first, followed by the addition. The 5 is multiplied by 3 and later it is added with the 4. Definitely we got the answer as 19. So the next expressions we will use a negative number. So this minus sign that we used for subtraction is also we used for the single number in order to mean the negations. We will take the minus 10 and multiply it by 3 and add with 5 and take that to the power of 3, that to the power of 3, and definitely got the answer as 95. The order of the operations will apply as follows, and 5 will first we take into the power of 3, and because the exponentiation has the highest precedence already seen here, and exponents has the highest precedence, and we will first so we will first take that power of 3, and then over here the negative sign applies to the 10 first, and the result is negative 10 is multiplied by the 3. Definitely we got the answer as 30. Finally these values are combined using the additions. Just like a regular math, we can override the operator precedence using the parentheses. I can have the expressions 4 plus 5 is evaluated as first, and before multiplying the result with the 3, definitely I got the answer is 9 into 3. That means the 4 plus 5 has the highest precedence than the multiplications. So I got the answer as 9, and it is later it is multiplied with the 3, and I got the answer as 27. Up to this point, every instruction that we have gave to the Python yielded a result. For example, so when we ask the Python to evaluate the expression 2 plus 3, it gives the result as 5. That's because the expression 2 plus 3 follows the syntax of the Python language. Syntax is the rules that specify which combinations of symbols are legal, and 2 plus 3 is a valid expression in Python. The expression 3 plus with a combination of symbols means 3 plus, it's not a valid, it's not a valid syntax. It goes the error with an invalid syntax. So when I asked the Python to evaluate this expression, we got an error. This is our first syntax error, and we will see many more throughout the course. So the Python does not understand what to do with those expression, and with that the combination of the symbols, and it can give us back a result. So instead it gives us a error. Also, if I'm going to give the expression only operation, and definitely I got a syntax error. And one more scenario for plus 3, going to use this one, and it is multiplied with the 2. Definitely again I got a syntax error with an unmatched parenthesis. That means if I'm going to use only the closed parenthesis, it shows an syntax error. Instead of this, it would be include an open parenthesis, and I'm going to add 4 plus 5 and into 3. When I am pressing enter, it does not show an error. That means the Python is expecting a closed parenthesis. When I hit an enter, nothing happens, or it look like nothing happens. That's because the Python allows instructions to extend the multiple lines, so that these 3 dots shows the multiple lines extensions, and when we hit an enter, it's waiting actually for a closing parenthesis until I give it I give that the closing parenthesis. I can hit enter, then the expression is not being violated, and after I'm giving that closing parenthesis, definitely it is evaluated and got the result. In addition to syntax errors, we will also encounter semantic errors. The semantic errors occur when the meaning of a particular expression is invalid. So for example, the syntax of 2 plus 3 is a valid, and that the above combinations got the answer, and the combination of symbols and its meaning and semantics of that expression is that 2 is added to 3, so this is fine. And if we are going to for divide by 2, again it is a meaning and it has a semantics, and so the expression is correct, or the 4 is divided by is a valid syntactically. We are able to use the combination of symbols, and however the meaning of this expression is invalid in the case if I'm going to divide by 4 divided by 0, and definitely it shows an 0 divided by 0 division error, or the division by 0. And we can see that the 4 divided by 3 is a valid syntax, so we got the answer. Instead, if I'm again I'm going to divide by 3 divided by 0, it shows at 0 error. However, the meaning of this expression is invalid. It's not been possible to divide the number by 0, and so we get a 0 division error, which is a semantic. And here we discuss about the calculation operation with respect to what Python. We already discussed about the different operators using in the case of Python, and the operator precedence, and also about the understanding with respect to syntax and semantic errors. Now we exit from this Python and go to the terminal and type Jupyter Notebook. for executing the Python program. So we are going to create a new Jupyter notebook. And here you can see that this is a cell, and we can do the operations and come to the part of expression 2.3, and we can run this each cell and got the answer as 5. And this is quite easy when we use a debugging style of execution of a program. And we are going to use this Jupyter notebook for the further sessions.